Good morning. Buckle your seatbelts and get ready for action. I'm Harley Schlanger from the LaRouche Organization with your daily video update for November 19th, 2025. Well, all hell is breaking loose in Washington. We had the action yesterday in the Congress with a near unanimous vote to open the Epstein files. This reflects a sea change in American politics, where the president changed his position because he heard from you. And many of the congressmen who had previously been unwilling to open the floodgates on Epstein ended up voting with you because of your outspoken response to the attempt at a cover-up. Now, the cover-up is still possible. The Justice Department may suppress evidence. The media may not cover the evidence. They're moving aggressively for narrative control to protect the operation that protected Epstein for all that time. So we have to move and move quickly, and this is one of the flanks we have to take up. Now, what the narrative control says is this is a story about one man's sexual perversion and his ability to blackmail others using his harem of women who were abused brutally and unacceptably. Well, that's not the story. That's not the end. You have to know the real story and why we have to be outspoken on this, that the full story get out there. And that story is who protected him, who put him in a position to do this, and why. Now, Epstein is not about one man's perversion, although that's an important part of the story. Nor is it about the blackmail operations, although that tells you something about American politics. It's a story which once you've known it, once you know the story, you'll not be quiet, because it shows the United States as a society, as a whole, is moving into an advanced degeneration, but one which can be reversed if we move now. Now, the question of this degradation comes from where lying narratives are tolerated and even acceptable, where mass slaughter in wars has now become business as usual, where the citizens have no say in policy, and where you can no longer take free speech and debate as a protected right. This is the slippery slope to fascism, and we're on this slope. And it's not just about Donald Trump. It's about the whole society, the whole political structure, both political parties, the media, the think tanks, the academies, about the narratives that are accepted. Well, we've seen that those narratives are not acceptable. So what are we going to do? Well, the Epstein case is an example of what happens when you put your authority to act on hold. The full story has to come out. And props to Marjorie Taylor Greene, to Tucker Carlson, to Helga Zepp-LaRouche, and to others who wouldn't allow the story to stop by saying Epstein's dead, there's nothing else to see. There's a lot to see. And we'll be publishing shortly the full story of who protected him, who set him up in a position to do what he was doing. And it will show you he's not the only one. This is the perversion of our whole system. And it says a lot about the American people, whether we accept it silently or rise up and turn it around. Now, similarly, the Netanyahu policy of ethnic cleansing is continuing. He hasn't stopped. His intention and the intention of his coalition is to ethnically cleanse the land of Palestine so that they can have a greater Israel policy. This is a fanatical obsession of the messianic Zionists in Israel. And they've been killing to ensure it. They're continuing to assault farmers and population in the occupied territories of the West Bank. They're going ahead with their plans to level Gaza and make it unlivable for the Palestinians. And in the meanwhile, they're still killing kids. Now, the reaction of the Netanyahu government is F off. It's our right to do this. We got the right to do this directly from God. Well, I hope you're not part of the religious community in the United States that accepts that this is acceptable in the name of God. Because no God that we should worship would allow the slaughter, the mass slaughter of children, the displacement of millions of people, and the territorial transfer to a gang of messianic lunatics. That's not a God anyone should be worshiping. In fact, that's a satanic policy. And those defending genocide must be held accountable for the mass killings of children and the other damages they've inflicted, including long-time lives of trauma to those who survive this assault. So this is something which we cannot lose sight of. The policy of Israel is continuing. I should say the policy of the Zionists is continuing. And the reaction worldwide has been to reject it. But it's still acceptable in Washington. And we've got to change that. And we can use what happened around Epstein as a case study of what happens when the population is riled up. Now, we can also still stop a regime change war in Venezuela. The fact is that there's no proof that those people who are being killed at sea are carrying drugs. There's no proof that the Maduro regime is committed to flooding the United States with drugs. In fact, they have a very aggressive policy to keep drugs out of Venezuela. Now, unless you're arguing that they keep it out of Venezuela by sending it to the United States, if you have proof of that, show it. Otherwise, stop this maniacal warmongering against a people for the sake of taking over the oil supply of Venezuela. The point is there should be no more regime change wars. That's what Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, said. That's what Donald Trump said. No more regime change wars. Well, after the terrible results from Afghanistan, from Iraq, from Libya, from Syria, from Ukraine, can we allow the neocons and the War Hawks to continue to push their policies of war for the sake of protecting the international financial cartels? And by the way, if you want to stop drugs, go after the City of London banks that launder drug money, starting with Hongshang, starting with the JP Morgan Chase, which has had many fines for hiding money transfers in the past. So there is a way to fight a legitimate war on drugs. It's not by killing fishermen and poor Venezuelans on boats. Now, for those who are organizing with us on this, good work, because your voices are being heard. We are changing policy. We are waking up the American people. To those of you who are hesitant to act, what the hell are you waiting for? This is our opportunity. And the stories are breaking out every single day, so fast that they're hard to cover up. So time matters. Don't hold back. The establishment is shaking in their boots. They're desperately trying to retake the narrative. And this is something which we cannot allow them to do. So join us in our mobilization. Today, Wednesday, at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, I'll be having the weekly dialogue with Helga Zepp-LaRouche. You can send your questions for Helga to questions@schillerinstitute.org, or you can put them in the chat page when the event is live. It will be archived, but why not participate directly and hear from Helga, who's been directing the fight effectively against the organized crime cartel of the Eastern establishment. So join us at 11 a.m. today. Then tomorrow, Thursday, at 11 a.m., we'll have a roundtable discussion on why there should be no war, no regime change in Venezuela. So we're doing our part. We're going to stay ahead of these stories so you can too. So take the time now to subscribe to EIR and join our organizing efforts to bring down this corrupt, parasitical establishment.